I was reading an article in The Atlantic that was sent to me by a friend yesterday. It was written by John, do you pronounce it Dingell? Dingell? I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't want to say it wrong. Sorry. But he is he was the longest standing congressperson ever, I believe. He was in Congress for over 59 years, representing Michigan. Well, he wrote an article in The Atlantic about fixing politics. He says the name of the article is "I Served in Congress Longer Than Anyone. Here's How to Fix It." And he suggests a couple of very important and noteworthy ideas. And one of the things he says in the article at the outset is, look, I'm not in Congress anymore. Now I'm just a bystander. So I don't have to present an idea that will make its way out of committee. I can tell you what I think should actually be done. And so he goes into several different points. And he starts with some things that I've been saying all along. And I love that he's saying it from his perspective, because basically what he's saying is a lot of common sense. The question becomes, how do we implement some of the things? Can we implement some of the things he's suggesting? For example, he says, let's have an electoral system based on full participation. And he goes on to explain, at age 18, you're automatically registered to vote. This is something I've said all along. We know who you are. If you're born here or you are given citizenship here, we have a record of that. There are birth certificates in your state. There are social security numbers issued. There is technology that can combine all of these things where states can report in or federal can report out or whatever needs to be done so that when you're 18, you're registered. Now, a lot of states do something close to that in that they say if you get a driver's license, right then and there, you can register. And it's a one-step thing. That's how we do it here. But here's the problem with that. Not everybody drives. So right off the bat, you're eliminating some folks. There are people who don't have cars, don't need cars in certain cities, so they don't bother to get a driver's license because they're not going to be driving. Can't afford it, can't park it. New York, where are you going to park it? Right? There are also people with disabilities who can't drive and therefore don't need a driver's license. So I think there's probably a way beyond the driver's license to do it. Perhaps everyone, no matter what, is automatically issued a state ID and is registered. Automatically. Done. I agree with him. Again, it's going to take some work to make it happen. But perhaps we could make a law. Oh, imagine that. At the federal level, that it has to be done and that states have a certain amount of time to get their you-know-what together and make it happen. So that's one idea, which I really like. He does go on to say that voting should be restricted only to American citizens. I agree with that. And we need to make sure we have protections against foreign meddling. Also very, very important. The next one, I almost want to lay down on the floor and cry. It makes me so happy if there was a way to do it. And that is, he says, let's fully eliminate money in political campaigns. Period. Yeah, I mean, there's just no question about it. Money is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil, and our political system is all about the money. It's all about the money. No wonder the whole system has gotten so degraded. No wonder it doesn't work. Our elected officials are being bought. They're being bought and paid for by special interests. He says public service should not be a commodity. I'm reading a little bit out of this article from The Atlantic from John Dingell, the longest serving congressman out of Michigan. This is a new article. It was just posted December 4th. You got to read it. There's a link to it on my Facebook page. It's worth reading the whole thing. But he says public service should not be a commodity. Elected officials should not have to rent themselves out to the highest bidder in order to get into or stay in office. He says if you want to restore trust in government, remove the price tag. And then he goes on to say, I'm fully aware that the Supreme Court has declared that, quote, money is speech, unquote. But he says that's nonsense. The day my wallet starts talking to me, I might reconsider that view. Until then, I believe that the pernicious influence of money on our elections must be removed. And I want to dig into that a little bit because I don't think I ever realized that you could say it that succinctly. I mean, we've talked about Citizens United and the problems with PACs and super PACs and negative ads and the effort and time that goes into fundraising. I feel like we've talked about all of those things. But just simply realizing that in our country, thanks to the Supreme Court, Money is speech. And when you think about what that really means, I'll break it down for you. It means this. It means rich people have a bigger, louder voice than everyone else. The more money you have, the more your voice counts. That's what money is speech means. And we have allowed that. And this also, by the way, gets back to my whole problem, which is we are allowing the Supreme Court to make the laws of this country instead of the legislative branch, whose job it is to make the laws of this country. So I think what we all need to do is start writing letters to our congressmen and senators and saying, end campaign finance, period. Make it public funding. Done. Money should not equal speech. And I will not vote for you unless you introduce legislation to try to end this. Now, if you can't get it through the committee or through the whatever, I'll give you a pass. But you have to stand for this because I stand for this. And this is the thing. We should all stand for. This should be an issue that we can have partisan agreement on. Because if we can remove it totally, then we are all on a level playing field. And then you win your race based on the merits of your platform. And I don't have, look, I'll tell you who will like this the least. My bosses. Because it's media that makes the most money. Who's the biggest winner? It's media. All of the commercials go to the media. They go to social media and they go to television and radio. So, sorry, bosses, but it's got to go. So either public funding comes in and pays for TV commercials and everybody gets the same amount, and your campaign only. It's not PACs and super PACs. It's the campaign only that makes the commercials because there's no incentive for a PAC or a super PAC now, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that really legit needs to happen. Money should not equal speech, and shame on the Supreme Court for passing that through. It was another one of those split decisions, 5-4 in the Supreme Court, that is flat wrong.
And just to remind everyone, that was only, I guess, passed by the Supreme Court in 2010.
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
And just look at the course of the last 8 years, how out of whack it has gotten.
Right. And how disgusting it's gotten. And can I also just say, this is like, I want to go have a Boston Tea Party. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is one of those things where we should be so outraged that we want to throw the tea overboard. This is like that. I mean, that was, taxation without representation. This is kind of the same thing. This is, election without representation. This is the ability to elect a candidate to office by the richest of the rich people and the most financially, viable companies, entities, whatever, and not me. That's not me. That's not you. That's not any of your friends, whether you're red, blue, purple, pink, black. I don't care. The point is, we, the general folk of this country, have tiny little voices because we don't have millions and millions of dollars. And that is wrong. That is not what this country is about. This is not what we stand for. It is flat wrong. And until you put it in that simple 3 words, money is speech, I didn't even really realize that that's what it was until I saw it written that way. And no, money is not speech, and money should not ever be speech, and we should not allow it. We should demand that our lawmakers pass a law that says no more buying politicians, period. End of story. It would change everything. It would change everything. This is a fantastic article in The Atlantic. I highly recommend reading it. I'm not done talking about it because I only got through 2 of the suggestions in here, and these are going to become my mantras in 2019. So just get ready. Money is not speech, people. Oh, wait for 2020. I'm going to be all over that bad